photo reference.
That's the only way I have accurate memories of anything we do anymore. Because I have to consult the iPhone.
Your brain is incapable of making the memories anymore.
Yeah, I have no memories of my own anymore. They're all like digitized.
It's hard to keep track of. It really is.
Like we do so much. The only things I can remember are the repetitive stuff, like bedtime routines.
It takes up a lot of the day. All right, you want to start this?
I thought we had started. Oh. Where are you?
I'm right here. I am Jeremy.
I'm Krista.
We are parentally unprepared. We usually have a little back and forth before I hit the music.
Yeah, but I thought that was the start.
Well, usually when
I get ready. I know when the banter starts. It's time to go. It's go time. It's go time, y'all.
So when I ask if you're ready to start this thing, is usually I'm just asking about the music.
You usually are just asking because you don't care about the answer.
I'm usually just asking for a moment to cue the music.
You usually just cue the music. You don't ask me anything.
Well, I guess if there's no like funny drop to hit the music on.
We're never funny. What are you talking about? Is it supposed to be a comedy podcast? Are we supposed to have jokes here? Because we're really falling short.
We're about to not start with jokes, that's for sure.
Huh?
Well, based on what happened this week.
Oh, shit. I know we're going to start there. Good
We
God.
can work our way around there.
I don't want to start there. Can we start somewhere else? Our baby's adorable.
Yeah.
He's super fun. He laughed so hard he threw up since our last recording. That was pretty great.
Yeah. That's funny. I ran into someone at work today that was like, how's it been going? I was like, oh, it's pretty good. He's like, you been doing anything fun? I was like, nah. I mean, just hanging out with my family and, hanging out with, my kids and stuff. He's like, oh, how old are your kids? Told him. He was like, oh man, I just went and dropped off my oldest at college for the first time. A couple weeks ago. I was like, oh wow. I was like, that's crazy. He goes, yeah. I don't think that she's going to be able to be independent. I'm very nervous that she won't be able to be independent.
I think a lot of parents worry about their daughters that way. No one's ever worried about their sons, like verbally to me, but everybody worries about their daughters. And I'm just like, we're going to be fine too. All the girls are going to be fine.
The way he was putting it was like, there's usually an air about someone when you talk to them that, oh, they can at least make some decisions. It's kind of like, I am consulted about everything. Well,
I could say the same thing about you when you go grocery shopping. She's going to be fine.
Yeah, we'll see. But he was kind of went through. He's got 4 kids.
Oh my gosh!
3 daughters and a son.
Do you remember that one time I was crazy and pregnant and told you I wanted 4 kids?
Yeah, and I knew that you were crazy and pregnant. So I didn't take it seriously. I was like, oh, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Now let's get some ice cream in you and get you to bed.
If we lived in a different world with a different economy in a different country, I could see having 4 children.
Sure thing, mom. Let's get you to bed. Let's just put something on TV so you'll fall asleep.
I just think our kids are so awesome. And I see why people have more than they probably should sometimes.
They are awesome, but they are stressful.
Well, yeah. God,
they're stressful. I mean, it's not like, I'm not saying it's a bad stress. I mean, some nights it feels like a bad stress, but
nights. But being married is its own kind of like wonderful stress too. Like with all good things in life come like a level of stress. Being rich, you have to maintain that. That's stressful. Like, being married, it's a relationship, it's work. You have to go back and forth. I think with all great things comes a level of responsibility and stress.
Yes, Uncle Ben.
Listen. Just because
I quoted Spider-Man.
Like over and over again.
No, it's like that good. It's obviously more good, but in the moment, sometimes in the moment, you're just kind of like, I want to
ice pick my ear.
Yeah. Change. You today, you're like, I need to change my name.
Fully channeled the 80s mom on that one. Mom. She was fun tonight. She was ready to go toe to toe and pick fights all night, and I was just like, mm-mm.
Yep, you just don't give it to her.
I can't. I'm not doing that tonight. I don't feel like it. Yesterday was. I'm trying to bring it back around accidentally. I don't want to do that just yet. But no, I just wasn't ready to fight. I was like, no, this is not a night for fighting. This is a night for like picking back and forth. We're gonna play.
Yeah,
we're gonna be silly. Like, so. Everything. She was just like, my fingernails won't grow. I was just like, did you know your brother's collarbones are ticklish?
Yeah. Oh man,
that baby
She's got
laughs.
this weird. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, that baby laughs every time you touch his collarbones. I love it. He laughs like it's a full belly laugh.
She gets so locked in on not like I'm not gonna grow. She did that the other night when she wouldn't sleep because she couldn't. She had one of her seldom nights where she was trying to go to sleep and she wasn't falling asleep instantly like she normally does. Mm-hmm. So we all know about it, like not a sleepless night, but a night where it's tough to fall asleep. You don't fall asleep immediately.
Your brain's racing or something.
Sure, your brain's racing, or maybe you just haven't hit that point yet. And she was just like being super impatient about the fact she couldn't fall asleep. And her thing was like, I'm not gonna grow. If I don't sleep, I'm not gonna grow. I was like, trust me, you're gonna grow. And trust me, you're gonna fall asleep. Like, it's not gonna take that much. You just gotta lay here and let yourself fall asleep. So I was like, I used to count things in my room until I fell asleep when I was little. Or some people count sheep. And, I just told her if you think she could count. I was like, count whatever animal you want to. And she was excited about that. And she, so I thought that was that. And then she called back in. And I came back in there, which I shouldn't have done. But, I mean, I was in an empathetic mood. She
felt better after you did, though.
She did. But she was like, I tried to count sheep and it just took too long and I couldn't fall asleep. She was just being really sweet. And
she was so beautiful. It just
and I'm not gonna grow. I'm not gonna grow up.
Right. Oh.
It's like, baby, you're gonna grow up. And then today she was mad. She was mad at and ragey mad about her fingernails.
Her pinky
nails.
Fingernails. Very specifically her
were
pinky
not
nails.
growing on demand. And she was mad because they were so short. Because
she chews them.
She chews them off. And
all the time.
Told her, I was like, babe, this is how they grow. You don't chew them.
We have a discussion with her about not chewing her nails 4 times a week. Minimum.
It's usually more, but yeah.
Yeah.
If we're lucky, 4 times a week.
Yeah, exactly. And she's constantly worried that her nails won't grow. And
she's right. She's right because she won't stop chewing them.
Oh my God, it's hilarious. But yeah, so she was just like immediately like pile of child on the floor whining, my nails won't grow. I thought she broke her fucking finger. Sorry, on the F word. When she went to walk in, she was holding up her pinky like it was actually injured. And I thought for certain she had slammed her finger in the car door, and that's what the waterworks were about. Nope. Coming to the door.
Nope.
I immediately went into mom treating an injury role, and then I realized it was meltdown over nothing, and I was like, oh God, get out of my face. I couldn't even hide my disdain. I was like, oh Lily, knock it off.
I was trying to catch your eye before you.
Yeah, I didn't even know because I thought she was hurt, so I wasn't even looking at you.
Yeah, I was trying to immediately when you opened the door, I was like, hey, because I was gonna be she's losing her shit over everything right now.
I think honestly, my genuine reaction was the appropriate one though, because the second I was just like, oh shush, I was just like, oh, I'm not even dealing with that tonight. No, we're not doing that. She kind of let it go, sort of. She kept trying to revisit, and I was like, no.
She was kicking the seat. She was so mad. And I was like, hey, this is you did this. And maybe she was mad at herself.
She was mad because the person that was supposed to pick her up was not who picked her up, and there were no snacks on board. That's why she was mad.
No, she never mentioned that once. She
Oh,
never
really?
mentioned. No,
I thought you said she mentioned that.
Nope.
She mentioned it the second she came in the door. She said, "Oh, Daddy didn't have pirate's booty."
Yeah, I mean, I didn't, but she wasn't mad about it. I was like, hey, I'll just give you a mint, and because I have mint in my car. I was like, I'll give you a mint, and we'll just have some pirate's booty when you get home. She was like, okay.
Okay. Well,
She was adamant that we tell you that I picked her up from the playground, and I was like, okay, we can tell her that. She goes, because she won't believe me. I was like, why? She's like, she'll say you picked me up from the classroom and not the playground. I was like, all right, man, like you're just like, it's inventing things to be adversarial about.
God. She's gonna love the Real Housewives, isn't she?
I guess, I don't know, but but yeah, the whole trip here was fine. It was when we turned onto our road that she started getting mad about. She's like, my pinkies they won't grow. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I thought she was talking about like, she wasn't saying pinky nail. She was saying my pinky is short. And I was like, I held up my hand. I was like, my pinky's short. Like,
that's the way pinky. It's the shortest finger.
Yeah, it's the shortest finger. And she goes, no, the pinky, look. And she was pointing at her nail. I was like, your pinky nail? She's like, yes. I was like, yeah, it's because you chew on it. And then she just lost it.
You know what we should tell her is that whining causes your hair not to grow.
She didn't care. She's like, my hair, I mentioned the hair. I was like, your hair grows slow. So nails got to grow. So she's like, my hair's already as long as I want it. And I want my nails to be long.
Shoot. Okay.
I just tell her that crying makes your nails grow slower.
Yeah, that'll work.
Same thing.
That'll work.
And I was like, look, I just cut mine last night.
What did your parents lie to you about that was something stupid that made you stop doing something they hated? Because every parent's done it. There's like, well, I mean, Santa Claus is watching is a big one, but like,
well,
we can totally have a lie that stops a terrible behavior, right? Mean, that's justified.
That's not a bad one. I can't. I don't know. Like
Jesus is watching.
I mean, the only one that I can recall, and it wasn't just my parents, but it was like if you make a face like that and someone slaps you on the back, they're gonna be stuck. Like,
and someone slaps you on the back.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a new. If you're like, a new turn on it.
Make cross eyes. It's like someone hits you if someone pops you in the back while you're crossing your eyes, it'll get stuck like that.
I haven't heard it in that way before. I heard if you make that face too long, it'll get stuck like that.
But I can't think of anything else that they.
Eating watermelon seeds will make a watermelon grow in your tummy. Did you know?
I heard that about apple seeds.
Oh, well, you shouldn't eat apple seeds because they have arsenic in them.
Yeah, it takes a lot of apple seeds for arsenic, though. But I mean, like, they would tell me that so I wouldn't eat them,
Yeah.
But I can't think of it. Like, I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
But I just don't remember any specific ones.
That might be a homework assignment for us. Let's go talk to our parents about the terrible behaviors we had. They lied to us about the outcome to make us stop.
I guess it worked, right?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I never really cared about eating watermelon seeds. It's like, whatever. These white ones are fine.
Suffice it to say that we should tell her that crying makes your nails grow slower.
I think so. No, not crying, because she's allowed to cry. Whining. Because she knows the difference. We have made it a real good distinction there.
It's just so funny to watch because you can never guess what it's going to be. I thought we were going to have a problem because I forgot to bring a snack.
Yeah.
Breezed right through it.
Do you ever wonder
right through it.
If she just reassigns anger, blame?
No, I mean, maybe she does in a way, but I think that like literally she just finds things that she has no control over.
Yeah.
And those are the things that get her the most.
Yeah.
Things that she has no control over. She forgets to bring a stuffy to school.
Dude.
She forgets to, do something very simple that now you can't go back and do. It's like, well, we're not there anymore. And,
she doesn't like that time takes time to pass.
She is very impatient.
Yeah.
Or it depends on what side of time she's on.
Well, we've got a water festival coming up that she's looking forward to. And we made the mistake of telling her about it last weekend when it's this weekend. And oh dear God, the havoc. I was gonna, yeah. So
she's the kid, by the way, that the other parents are going to be like, why does your kid keep inviting my kid to stuff? Your kid keeps making plans for my kid.
oh yeah, she's invited her whole class, and she's coming back to tell us like so and so is going to ask their mom, and so is going to ask their mommy and daddy, and so is going to ask their parents, and like, and I'm like, did we just make hell for them? Probably. Like,
club promoter.
The other day she forgot. So in her new classroom, which we're enjoying, I have my complaints, but like the kids are structured and focused. And while we're still not getting, any art, we're definitely not getting any photo updates in this classroom. So it's like some things I would rather change. We are getting a much happier child right now, which is ultimately the goal, and I can deal with the rest. So I'm just like, it's like our trio theory with guacamole, salsa, and cheese dip at Mexican restaurants. You can't get all three, right?
Yeah, you can only ever get a max of 2.
Yeah, so you can't get
all 3. It'd be awesome. There's always going to be one that's lackluster.
Yeah.
If you go to a Mexican restaurant. Like it's just not possible. The trifecta is not possible.
And I feel like the same is applying at daycare at this point, where communication with the teacher, art and stimulating activities for your children, and structure are the triangle here. And you get to
only pick
2. So,
and the 2 we've got are the 2 I'd rather have.
I agree. If I got to give one up, that's what I'd give up. And,
so. And this is like a good age to have that at too, because it's not like
we're not going to get these updates in kindergarten or pre-K.
I think infant and 1 years, you want good communicators. Yeah. I think 2 and 3, 2, 3, 4, you really want some good structure and them to be learning something and just challenging their brain.
I think I would argue for even infant 1 and 2 for communication, because you're still potty training usually. Towards the end of that.
I mean, I guess I'm not thinking about it that way because we weren't really.
Well, we were still. I mean, she was still training. She was mostly through, but she was still.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
And we got a boy coming through it now, so I definitely want, just traditionally boys take a little longer to get the hang of that.
Well, here's the thing. We also only had 1 of 3 in the last class.
Yeah.
Terrible communication. And,
no art.
And wait, yeah.
No art, no structure. Oh shit, we didn't get any of them.
Yeah, we went 0 for 0 on that class.
Yeah. But so now I've been visiting our son for his lunch bottle, basically, to spend some time with him like I did with our daughter. While
yeah, you're not breastfeeding anymore, but you're going up there, like you did for breastfeeding.
I mean, and she I stopped breastfeeding her after the second she got teeth, and I still went up there and gave her bottles. So I'm just going to try to do that with him.
How long after? I don't remember.
How long did I go up there, or how long did I breastfeed?
When did you stop going up there? We've talked about this before. I just can't remember.
I mean,
9 months-ish, 8, 9 months?
9 or 10 months, somewhere in there. Like I didn't.
Started realizing you were coming and then leaving and not coming back.
Yeah. Like I tried to stop that before it became a big problem. So I'm going to try to go, 9 or 10 months with him. So, and depending on him, like his personality is his personality. So if he needs an adjustment period or a change forward or backwards, for his benefit, whatever's best for him.
I think he's chill and independent.
He's so chill. Oh my God. But until he's not.
But I mean, that's also
that man is a hot-tempered Latin man.
Well, yeah, he doesn't like to stop in the middle of a bottle for a burp.
Don't you dare.
And he does not. There's a certain way you've got to lay him down for his
I did what you told me to today, and it worked great.
Yeah,
it worked great. He was asleep in a second.
Yep.
But he goes down for
combination.
Yeah, he goes down for bed really easily, and I think we've talked about before. Like he's just such a solid sleeper. Well, he's almost 4 months old now, and he's gaining a lot more awareness. Pretty much, we're starting to lose.
Starting to put together the patterns of things. Yeah,
object permanence is starting to fade or become better. I don't
lack of object permanence.
Whichever.
Fading, yes.
So he's starting to realize his surroundings and like, oh, mommy and daddy turn off the light and turn on the sound machine, and then they leave. What the hell?
Yeah.
And so I did what you told me though, which was get the sound machine going, get him changed, get him comfy, keep all the lights on, and then lay him down and turn the lights off. And I did that.
Yeah, it's
and I ran out of the room.
Yeah, it's change, lay down sound machine, close curtains.
I did it slightly different than that,
Yeah.
but it's still, the closed curtains was the last
thing. Every time it's the last. As soon as it gets dark, he's like, wait, what? What changed? What's changing? What's happening? Oh, no.
Just don't do that first. That's all. He's so funny.
I've started
though.
doing the sleep sack on, instead of doing it in the crib, I do it on the changing table.
I always did it on the change. I can't reach over the crib like that.
Oh, yeah.
Got them back issues. But it's just so fun to go hang out with him. And okay, so I remember how I started on the subject is I go hang out with him, but I've been doing drop-offs for the kids in the mornings. We kind of changed it up a little bit. You got to remind me to take some of those like going to school pictures you guys were doing.
Yeah, I need to start. I haven't done. I mean, it's been 2 weeks now. I haven't done them because I haven't been taking them to school.
Yeah,
I should take them in the morning before you guys leave.
Yeah, something like that. Like we gotta
just lean in the car with each of them.
Yeah, we gotta get like some kind of rhythm going on that. But I've been taking them. Damn it, I lost the train of thought again. Oh, we forgot the stuffed animal. So can't forget the stuffed animal. This new class, they're letting stuffed animals in. Her last class, that was a no-no because they had zero ability to work with children on the fact that they have separation or anxiety issues. And
well,
God forbid they bring a comfort object because it just might create a problem.
Well, the thing about the last class is it wasn't an even spread of what the expectation was, right? Like kids were allowed to.
Yeah.
But if there was
kid,
but
maybe not your kid.
But if the kid was disruptive in their eyes, or they couldn't control a 2-year-old, they would just take it away from them and tell us not to let them bring it back for a little while.
Oh God, I want to wring those people's necks. Just like, get out of childcare. This is not your field.
I don't see them very much, and I like it.
I love it. It's wonderful.
Because we never make it down to that end of the.
It's so great.
End of the school.
I see one of them now. The other day I walked up and there was a child crying her eyes out in the front office, and our least favorite was the one sitting with the child, and it was everything I could do to not tell that kid, it's going to be okay. I'm really sorry you're having to do this right now. Yeah. Like,
our daughter asked the other day, she's like, where is my old class at? I was like, it's somewhere over there.
She asked me if she could go to her old class, and I was like, yeah, if we get there with enough time, which I just know is impossible. So.
No, it's impossible to get out the door. It doesn't matter how early you get up either.
No, we can get up at 4:45 in the morning. You're not getting out the door till 7:39.
I think I spent a good couple weeks being like, I guess 30 minutes earlier tomorrow. I guess 30 minutes earlier again tomorrow. I guess another 30 minutes earlier.
But yeah, so I took her in. We forgot the stuffed animal. I've been going to see our son at one of his bottle times, and we realized as we walked in the door, the teacher called it out. She hadn't even thought about it, and the teacher was just like, "Where's your stuffed animal?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me, Teach? What are you doing?" And I was like, guess I'm coming back with the stuffed animal when I come back, because our daughter doesn't know I come there, because if she knows I'm visiting that school in the middle of the day, there's no way I'm leaving that school without her. And I got to work the second half of the day after that. So, and I did it for her, so I want to do it for him. And I feel guilty, but I don't feel guilty. You know what I mean? So I told her in the moment when she immediately started to freak out, she didn't have her stuffed animal. I was like, Daddy will bring it before nap. I promise. I was like, Daddy will bring it before nap. Mommy's got to go to work. And not like, and I don't know why. Oh, no, I said, Daddy will bring it since he's on his way to work, is how I phrased it. And I was like, okay, I'll just move up the bottle time I come visit our son by to the earlier one. I'll bring the stuffed animal. It will get here before her nap time. Everything will be hunky dory. And I prepped her with it. I was like, Daddy can't come all the way to your classroom though. He's gonna have to drop it at the front office, and they're just gonna have to bring it to you. And man, I picked her up and she was like, Daddy brought me my stuffed animal. I was like, I brought that damn thing. I almost blew my own cover just being like wanting my own glory, you know, for being a super mom, swooping in, saving the day kind of thing.
Well, hats off to you for calling me and letting me know.
Oh yeah, I had to get you in on the lie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
but
if she asks, you dropped this off for her.
Yeah. And I almost blew my cover again this morning because the teacher started asking again about it. They were like, didn't your daddy drop that off the other day? And I was like, yes. I had to think about it because it's like, wait, I lied about that.
It's tough to keep all these lies straight.
I know.
But like they're I don't know. It's weird because they're what do they call them when we were kids? Little white lies.
Little white lies.
You know, they're just they're more for reassurance, you know.
Yeah.
Things that your kids shouldn't worry about. You know.
Yeah. Like school shootings.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that segue.
Yeah, that's crazy. That happened
Yesterday.
It's not the furthest place from us.
No, we're real close by to where that latest.
Well, I was trying not to do too much info, but
we live a quarter mile down the road.
Yeah.
Jokes. Okay. Sorry, you got real serious about that. No, we're not that close, but I mean, we know of people in and around that area, and it's like, it's just never ending.
Yeah. So there was another school shooting, in Winder, Georgia.
Well, say it like a CNN anchor.
Winder, Georgia. And yeah, it's just kind of nuts. It's you know, it's closer to home. It's really weird. And then, you know, obviously as a parent, you get put in this, like, you can't help but place yourself in those shoes at that point, right? In the shoes of the parents. Like, we're very empathetic people, you know, and I don't like it. It sucks to think about. I think that some people are more apt to get locked in than others. Like, I can't think about it too long, or I get locked in, or, you know, just,
I ruined my day yesterday thinking about it too much.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to process what that's like, you know, on either side of it, right?
Well, and so this happened at a high school. You and I are of the age where, like, Columbine was brand new when we were in high school.
Yeah.
We have friends with children ages 10 to 15-ish. Mm-hmm. Like, your best friend's kids around that age, my best friend's kids around that age. Mm-hmm. Like, and then we have small children who will eventually need to go to a high school somewhere.
Yeah, that's the thing that messes with me the most. It's like I've got to send my kids out into this world. Like, I've got to send my kids out there at some point, right?
I mean, and I think about that, like, every single shooting. I think about it on days where no one's talked about a shooting in weeks. Like, I don't know how that's even possible in our country. But we also have, like, friends that are teachers in these school systems. Like, one of our friends was on lockdown yesterday.
Yeah.
And she said it was the scariest day of her entire life. She has children in high school. And it's just, I was asking you, I was like, how do you go back to work as a teacher? How do you go back to school as a kid? Like, as a kid in a school district nearby.
How do you send your kid back if you're the parent?
That was my next point after that. But, like, as a kid in a school district nearby, definitely as a kid in that school. And then, then you get to how, as a parent, do you just tell yourself it's going to be okay? Like,
you just have to.
I sent you a K through 12, like, online accredited school today.
Yeah.
I was like,
I don't like.
I just won't do it.
It's weird because, like, it's like you know that, like, the best thing is not to succumb to the fear of it all, right? You know, it's just not, because then you make it worse for yourself. Then you instill some weirdness, you know, some weird feelings into your kids, right?
Yeah.
So you have to do this, like, weird balance of preparing them for weird stuff to happen.
Teach your kids to barricade a door and hide behind desks and don't answer unless the cops like give you the code. Like,
so you're teaching like, and this is just, I'm talking about for anything, right? Yeah. Like for anything, like, because any kind of bad thing can happen to anybody, right?
Well, I mean, we've talked about before, as a woman, like I was taught to like walk to my car with my keys in between my fingers as a weapon. Yeah, you got to prepare your kids for weird, bad shit that they don't even fully understand way too early, all the time.
So there's like I said, there's the balance of preparing them for this stuff, just so they at least have some semblance of knowing what needs to be done in a bad situation, be it a shooting, be it someone harassing you, whatever. But also you have to do it in a way that doesn't give them a complex about it.
Yeah.
Because, obviously chances are, chances are that it's not going to 9 times out of 10 come to fruition, right? I would say 9 times out of 10, it's not going to come to fruition.
I'm only going to correct you just because of like women's statistics. Like 1 out of 4 women is sexually assaulted. So, so you can't say 9 out of 10 because it's 2.5 out of 10.
So in the case of like, let's just talk about a school shooting, right?
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, that's not going to happen, but you still have to like.
The only reason I bring that up is because like your general point is you're gonna raise them to be prepared for a lot of things that won't probably happen to them. There is this one huge exception.
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's a good point. But yeah, so it's just messed up. It's weird.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, I wasn't trying to rain on your parade, but.
But yeah, so it was just a day of thinking about that, and a day of like just processing what that must be like.
I can't imagine. Like me and you have talked about, we used to do tornado drills, and I know that point's been beat to death, but it's just, I don't know. I was telling you and our family, like, there's got to be a generation that just makes this too expensive for this to remain a problem. Like, I think that is genuinely the only way this gets fixed is when the right people lose enough money to this bullshit.
I mean, maybe. I don't think. I certainly don't think there's any one tragedy that would make people change their minds.
I mean, like,
I don't at any level. I mean,
there's just got to be some landmark lawsuit that has to come through with this. Like on some level. I don't mean like this particular shooting. I just mean like the right sympathetic victim with the right parents that just don't have anything else to lose and feel like putting their life savings into it just to make a point. Like, or I mean, there's been several lawsuits against manufacturers, and it's still not working.
It's still not. No, I don't think it's that. I don't think.
Can you hold Congress people accountable for not passing the right laws?
Nope, they've protected themselves.
Yeah.
So
is that diplomatic immunity?
I guess. It's one of those. It's one of those, like, you brought up tornado drills, fire drills, and did we have any other kind of drills like that? I don't think so. I think those were like the main two.
Well, we had those, but our parents had air raids.
Yeah, there was that during the Cold War. There was that, which is still something that you can fathom in your head because it's something that's like you can't really control, right? You can't control if a country outside of your country shoots nuclear bombs, right?
Nuclear war is pretty damn intimidating.
It really is. And I'm sure that had something to do with, maybe messing with the minds of a generation, for sure.
There's a couple of really good articles on that I've read before.
But like when we were in school, like you said, Columbine happened. That was big. But even when that happened, like, it wasn't commonplace. Like, it happened and like not a lot changed. Well, I think that there were a lot of zero tolerance went into policies went into place, But, because I went to a high school where, it wasn't anything for someone to show up in their truck and there's just like a shotgun
Same.
on the gun rack in the truck.
Oh my God, hunting season, everybody.
No one brought them into school.
No,
I don't ever remember that.
So I graduated 4 years after Columbine, I think, somewhere around there.
And 2000?
Something like somewhere
99 or 2000.
Early 2000s is when I graduated. So they did eventually say you can't bring your hunting guns onto campus anymore, like by the end of my high school career. But yeah, at the very beginning, oh my God, everybody I went to school with still had their hunting, like their gun racks were mounted to the back window of their truck.
Yeah, it was just normal.
Yeah, that's where you held a gun rack. You didn't put them in your house. You put them in your truck.
And I would say most people are responsible gun owners. Yeah. I think most people are.
Yeah.
But it's just different times now. At that time, it wasn't in the zeitgeist, so to speak, of what was going on. Like Columbine happened and it was still just kind of like wow, that was crazy. That's like a once in a lifetime thing, right?
That was what I was going to circle back to, is just like, yeah, we are post Columbine high schoolers. However, it still was just like, that was the craziest shit that could have happened. And that will probably never happen again. Like they probably won't fly too many more planes into buildings kind of shit. And oh my God, it happens 400 times a year now. And
the shootings, not the planes.
The shootings. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
But my other thought, oh God, I lost it. Anyway. There was another thought I had about, the guns on school. Oh. This is why I feel like I almost wish this was a slightly historical podcast, is while we were in high school, the assault rifle ban was still in place. Clinton's assault rifle ban was still in place. So while Columbine started it, and it definitely never stopped after that.
I think Columbine was pistols and shotguns too. It wasn't even, there was no AR or anything like that.
It's only amped up from there because it was 2 years after we graduated that ban dissolved.
Yeah, it was.
Well, we graduated 2 years apart, so that's not possible. But a couple years after we graduated.
Yeah, because I think I was in 10th grade when Columbine happened, because I know I went to school for at least a year and a half, 2 more years, right?
They started talking about metal detectors so I went to a private school, and no rich person's gonna let that shit happen at their kid's school. But they were talking about metal detectors in the public schools in my county, because my friends were still at those schools, and it was like this hot topic of debate.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, well, our kids are supposed to go to prison now. I'm like, school's always kind of been prison.
I think everybody had talked about the metal detectors at some point, and that got talked about. I think the only thing that ever went into place while I was there was the zero tolerance. And I do know there was a kid in my grade that definitely got expelled because he had a BB gun in his car.
Yeah, we had
absolutely had a BB gun in his car.
We had zero tolerance on that too, like knives, guns. And any kind of prescription medication wasn't allowed on campus.
Well, you had to have a note, and I think you had to go take it at the front office or something like that. It had to stay with the nurse or whatever.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I just meant you were not allowed to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, pot was obviously a sin of the devil. It's cigarettes, all that stuff. It just all kind of
normal shit.
But it all fell into the same category. That's the crazy part, is guns, knives, cigarettes, and weed all fell in the same category.
Your fingertips better not fall past the hem of your shorts.
Yeah. I actually almost didn't graduate because of that. And it's just.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what's so different now, is now kids don't. That's just a thing that is built into, we have tornadoes sometimes. There's fires. That's a possibility. And I don't know, someone shooting up the school. That's a possibility too now.
You were talking about the zero tolerance policy though too. That's what kind of is blowing my mind in this particular shooting situation that just happened in North Georgia. This kid was 14 years old. He's still a baby. His brain is not even halfway formed yet. he was investigated by the FBI last year for making school shooting threats. And I know that due process has got to come into play here because the FBI didn't have enough to prosecute or something. So
Anonymous
they can't.
Online threats.
Yeah, something like that. But like, at what point are you just like on a blacklist at the fucking front desk? Like, you can get on a no-fly list for a plane like that. Like you say the wrong word on a plane and they'll never let you fly again. Why in the hell are you allowed to attend school after making school shooting threats without extensive therapy?
The system and the precedents for planes. Because I think the response was
less people have died on planes than in school shootings, I think, at this point.
I'm pretty sure you're right. But at least since 9/11, right?
Yeah.
But the precedents and the system in place helps the blacklist happen, right? But there's a weird gray area of rights where,
I mean, and they're minors.
They're
minors too, though. That's so weird.
They're minors. There wasn't clearly enough evidence, there wasn't enough evidence to really do anything to him because it was literally hearsay. It was just someone tipped him off, like, I know this guy is probably the guy doing this. So they went over and they talked to him. But
he posted pictures of guns, though. Like, they could they could trace his IP address. So like they could confirm this kid did it. They were just vague enough threats.
Yep.
I think. There
was no probable cause.
My question is how do we not have a resource officer posted at that kid's school for the rest of his tenure in school?
I mean, that's what stopped it. It was a resource officer.
He got called later. 4 people died before people got to the scene.
Sure.
And the school where this kid who's been investigated by the FBI goes to got a call that morning saying a school shooting will happen here today and 4 other schools. Like, so you've got a child that attends your school that has been investigated by the FBI for threats for school shootings, and you got a call that there will be a school shooting there today.
Yep.
Like, how do those factors combine? Not have
complacency and it's never happened here, so it's not a thing.
We got a bunch of responsible gun owners around here.
And to your credit, a resource officer armed was in that school.
Was he in the school or did he respond to the school?
I have no idea.
That's my point. I'm pretty sure that kid got 4 people killed before anybody touched him.
There's also 4 schools there, like in that spot. Like, there's this weird, like, I think you can only blame lack of.
I'm not blaming. I'm asking.
No. You can only bring up. All right. You can only bring up lack of armed presence to a certain extent, because at some point you have to have some sort of precognitive.
I'm not even bringing up armed presence. I'm saying, why is there not something there? A fucking therapist, for Christ's sakes, would be better than what was in place for someone who was investigated by the FBI for school shooting threats, and a call was placed to the school that morning, 2 hours before the shooting happened, saying there will be a shooting here. Like,
I don't know. I mean, I'm only talking because you said, why isn't there a resource officer standing outside of his classroom?
Well, you
at all
said
times?
Resource officer first, so then I was like, okay, well, a resource officer like disarmed him on your point. Why wasn't that resource officer?
I brought up the resource officer because you said, why isn't there a school resource officer standing outside of his classroom at all times? And I said he was stopped by a resource officer. The SRO showed up and shouted him down, and he put it down.
Okay. Well, okay.
But he could have been like on another part of that like wide campus area. I'm sure. I know how state funding works, and I'm sure they just didn't allocate anything for that.
That's my point, though. Is like, I also know how state funding works. I live in the same state, and I attended schools here as well, and I vote like everybody, all the other adults we know do. My point is there were lots of red flags on this one fucking kid first.
Sure.
Like, there are no other known threats in
that we know of, yeah.
that we know of. Like, do you think there's probably another kid in that school threatening a school shooting that week? Like, or do you think the odds are even that there's another kid in that county that was investigated by the FBI for school shooting? Well, probably not.
And two,
so stick a couple resources officers at his school.
I just don't think they're structured like that. Like if you think about it like this,
I agree. They're probably not.
If it was a year ago, he was in middle school because he was 13. So at this point, he is brand new. It's only school was only in for 2 or 3 days. Mm-hmm. So at this point, he's brand new. No one knows him from, that's what's also wild. It's like there's not even enough time for really like him to be pissed at any of these new teachers.
Yeah, he's 14 as a freshman.
Clearly, there's something gone up here, right? There's some sort of disconnect. So that's kind of like the mindfuck. It's not like we're talking about, we've been in school for 4, 5, 6 months, and he's been picked on all year long.
Well, it's not like these kids some of them didn't go to middle school together.
Oh, I'm sure.
He was described as a quiet kid, which I know kind of irks you because you were a quiet kid. But like, there's a difference between quiet kids and violent quiet kids. Like, and this kid, like, Child and Protective Services had been in his home before, so something's going on with his home life. Nobody's released the details on that. His parents are being charged with involuntary manslaughter because after he was investigated for these threats, they told the FBI he had no access to guns in their home and then bought him an AR-15 for a Christmas present right after that. So it's just, I don't know. It's so avoidable. It's basically.
I think that the complacency of the American society, especially in like a middle class rural town, doesn't allow for the brain to function like this could happen at any minute. They just don't think about it like that until it happens, and now they do. And now I'm sure surrounding counties are now like, we got to put more money into resource officers because guess what? Something happened close to home. Nothing. What was the first school shooting in Georgia since when?
Not first, but most deadly since '99.
Most deadly since '99. So I mean, everybody was just on their laurels.
Yeah.
This is a good town to live in. This is a great town. Like nothing like this happens here.
We've looked at property there before.
And every town says this, right? Like nothing like this happens at Columbine. You know.
That's what occurred to me immediately when we started seeing interviews with like family, parents, people standing by, like handing out snacks to parents trying to get to their kids. Is like, it can happen here. Like if it can happen here, it can happen anywhere. And I'm like, I can't count on my fingers, toes, and like ears and every hair on my head how many times I have heard that in the news broadcast every fucking time there is a school shooting.
Yeah.
Every time there's a school shooting, there is a half a dozen people talking to a news anchor saying, if it can happen here, it can happen anywhere. And nobody believes it.
No community is immune is what I was saying yesterday. Like there's no immunity to it. Like it can literally absolutely happen anywhere. And I mean, it's just like when we talked about COVID, people didn't care about it until it was happening to them or to someone they know closely. In a bad way even. Like, yeah. But it's like that with everything. Like if I'm not seeing it, if it's not happening to me, it's always happening somewhere else. That would never happen here. That's Colorado. That's Sandy Hook. That's Florida. That's not here.
That's Virginia Tech.
Right. So I don't think it's the fact that it was without kind of like a Minority Report set up. You can't ever be fully prepared. Now, I will say the response was due to a system they just put in place. I don't know if you read about that.
Yeah, I did.
They had like all the teachers have little panic buttons on their lanyards. Like they can alert police very quickly. And that's crazy because they just put it in for this school year. So
like a week ago.
If they didn't have that,
They wouldn't have got the call out.
They wouldn't have gotten the call, which is crazy.
They would have gotten a call. It wouldn't have gone out as soon. Yeah.
Right.
Like another thing that surprised me is like the security protocols at the school already in place don't allow students to come back into the classroom unless they're buzzed in or unlock the door for. So the door locks automatically when they leave the classroom, and they can't come back in until someone lets them in.
Depends on the school.
But I'm saying at that school, in this situation, that's the one I'm referencing.
Well,
that's
the reason why he was so at least what I read, the reason why he was able to shoot people is because when he left, the teacher got a call to check her email, checked her email, and then closed and locked the door. He can realize he couldn't get back in, but the classroom next door, the door was wide open. He walked in there. Well,
I mean, they might have had the door propped open, but the way that the student that was interviewed, that I listened to her interview, which ethical question mark, on the day of a shooting, you interview a minor without her parent there. I didn't love it, but I did listen to what she had to say. Was he left the classroom at the beginning of the period and came back towards the end of the period, and he had to be buzzed back in to the classroom, and a student went to go let him into the classroom and saw he had a gun and backed away and wouldn't let him in, and he went next door and started shooting.
Okay. Well, I heard about the teacher getting the email and closing the door.
I mean, there's probably a lot of different accounts out there right now that may contradict each other because it's the day after the shooting.
Maybe so.
It doesn't have to be all right or all wrong right now because we're all getting mixed information.
True that. But I don't know. I think that you're not going to. I don't think it's as easy as saying this was very preventable. Because
I don't think it's easy to say that, but I do think it's true. Like, no, it would have been hard work to prevent this, but it doesn't make it untrue. It was preventable.
Okay.
Like, right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people would have had to have done their jobs well, but it was preventable.
I just think third day of school. I mean, it's like it has to be one of the last things on your mind.
Do you ever wonder what happened to our permanent records? Like what's that kid's permanent record look like that we used to get threatened with? You remember the permanent record? That's going to go on your permanent record.
I always saw that in movies. I never heard it.
Oh, I heard it.
IRL, never.
I heard it. I heard it in my public school at my grade school. And I was terrified of my permanent record.
Yeah, I never thought about it. It was weird, but we also had so many kids like there were kids that went their entire high school career and never even said a word to the principal. You know what I'm saying? Like never had to even deal with administration. Yeah,
I mean, so, I'm talking about in grade schools where I actually thought a permanent record was a thing. I don't think I gave a shit about it in high school. I didn't think it was real by then.
It probably existed, but I was never threatened by it. Maybe so. Yeah, I can't think of like when you send your transcripts, they don't send like a black mark checklist. I think it's like religion. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like gonna go to the bad place if you're not good.
No, that's exactly what it is. I think it's like hell for like, grade schoolers.
It's like some weird way of
purgatory.
Right. They don't transmit that. Like they don't say, "Oh, he skipped class," and they send it to the cops. Like they just. It's not like you call it the sheriff station. And they're like, "Oh, I saw back in 10th grade that you got detention." Yeah. That would be some shit, though. That would be almost totalitarian.
I went to a military school in middle school, and they had a demerit system that was literally posted on the wall of the school. Yeah. So you could see the merits and demerit total count for every student in the school.
That doesn't seem legal.
It was messed up, man. And like basically
it was private, so I guess it's whatever.
It was private public. So it was privately owned, partially publicly funded, and you paid tuition at the same time.
Yeah. You can get away with more there. Yeah. You can get away with more in that situation than you can at a public school. But they used to do messed up things at public school.
Oh God, yeah.
Dude, I remember in my kindergarten class.
What is Salisbury steak made out of?
people.
Yeah.
Sorry. The people who got too many demerits. But like I remember in kindergarten we had a bulletin board that had airplanes on it, and our names. We each had an name with our airplane on it. And when you did something good, you were flying in the blue sky. But when you did something bad, you moved up into the dark clouds.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You moved down into the dark clouds, or you were flying up in the sunshine. And they had like 3 or 4 levels. Remember there was a kid.
That obviously messed with your head. You're 42 and you remember.
I remember a lot. Like I remember a lot from those days. But I remember there was a kid his name was Earl.
What a good name for a kid.
And he was always in trouble.
Why is that a good name for a kid?
He was always in trouble. His plane was always down low in the dark clouds.
Oh, poor Earl.
And he's one of 1 or 2 kids that I remember that went to the office and got the paddle.
Oh God. I never got a paddle. Did you get a paddle?
A paddle I'm talking like in
the
kindergarten.
90s. Yeah.
Can you imagine?
No. Did you ever get a paddle? I mean, I can't imagine because I also went to a school that still did that.
Still would have been technically the 80s because
yeah, you're right.
Because you 5 is kindergarten, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It would have been still like 80s. Late 80s, but yeah.
Late.
It was still there. It was there through I was in that school through 3rd grade and it was still there when I left.
I left my grammar school. I went kindergarten through half of 6th grade. I got jumped in 6th grade and then shipped off to military school. But they had paddle all the way through. So it was like so at least through 96.
So so if I was there, it was like 91 92 I think when I left that school in 3rd grade, and they still had it there because I know there were a couple. I knew a couple of kids that had to go get paddled when I was in 3rd grade.
Yeah,
I know one kid that was messing with scissors, and they were like the school scissors. You know, they were metal, but they weren't like sharp scissors, like the good. I'm wrapping a present scissors, right? And he was just clowning around. He was just like going, dit, 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 dit. Cut his earlobe. Cut his earlobe in like long ways, so it split. And like I remember him leaving the classroom with blood like running down his face.
Yeah, that'll do it.
I just remember that. Marcus was his name.
Dude, that's the only reason I haven't gotten our daughter any better scissors is because I know anything better than those.
She's 3. Yeah.
Well, she's 3. But anything better than those cheap plastic, like real safety scissors will cut you immediately. I still have the scar from where I tried to give a Barbie hair clip, like one that it was basically extensions with a big Barbie bow on it for actual little girls. And I tried to give it a trim, and I held it up with like my left hand in front of my face, facing me, holding the extensions, and then my scissors in my right hand, and I clipped across and caught my forearm.
Yeah, I think you bumped the mic. It sounded like someone like knocked something upstairs. I think you bumped the mic.
They're not moving, and both dogs are with us, so there better not be anybody knocking around upstairs.
But this was 3rd grade. So how old are you in 3rd grade?
I mean, I was about 3rd grade when I cut my arm like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're 10 in 3rd grade.
I feel like that's an okay time to have metal safety scissors. Like 10 years old, it's okay.
I mean, but I cut the hell out of myself. I am almost 40 and I still see that scar.
Yeah.
It wasn't great and it bled everywhere.
But you weren't just clipping him by your ear though. Like he was just like an idiot goofing off. Like Marcus wasn't very bright.
I mean,
he was funny, but he wasn't bright.
I feel like there are people in my life that would say the same thing about me, and I feel like I'm like fairly intelligent. So, you know, sometimes you have other skills.
Marcus's skill is at least he was funny.
That's like, it's hard to be funny. You know how hard it is to be funny?
Yeah.
We're not good at it.
No, I'm not. I don't know, man. Like, how do we get to, how are we talking about that? Oh, we were talking about visible public punishment, right?
Yeah.
So the planes are like the fucking the stocks in the town square, right? Like
that's terrible.
Like, oh, you walk in and
Poor
like
baby
everybody
Earl.
can be like, oh, Earl is not doing great today.
Oh, where's Earl? Has he got a dunce cap on? Like,
It's just, yeah, it's wild. But I tell you one thing we didn't have to worry about was active shooter drills.
no.
We didn't have to worry about that.
You know, I think I've talked about on the podcast my grandfather that scarred me about bad storms.
Yeah, you get very nervous about storms.
Yeah, but also I think it was tornado drills in grade school that scared the shit out of me about tornadoes.
Tornado drills were scary.
They were so scary. And then
And they were loud.
They were loud.
They had a very different, it
they
wasn't
were
like
chaotic. And it was like, really, is this going to stop like that big I-beam from coming down on my head when the twister comes through and tears the whole building apart? Like, but on top of that, you know, I went home and my grandfather acted like a crazy person about it. And my mother, who was raised by him, also acted like a crazy person about storms. So it just compounded generationally. And I wonder the same thing about active shooter drills. Like,
and that goes to the point that I made earlier,
Yeah.
which is prepare your kids. Don't give them a complex.
yeah, I mean, I agree.
So I think we're a good balance when it comes to storms because you'll be like, I can see you're nervous, but
I leave the room.
you're very much holding it together as much as you can. But I'm just kind of like, let's go over here and talk. Like,
I'm like, why don't you take the kids and I'm going to watch the radar?
Right. And usually if our little one is asking questions, I'm usually the one answering because I can usually give a little more of a,
Yeah.
well, it's because the house could fall in on us. Like you would say something like that. Where
Well,
I
I was literally at this house like a few years ago when a huge pine tree fell during the middle of a storm and like rocked the earth. So that didn't help.
Yeah, but I mean, even still, that is a I don't know. I think that's just something that is important to master as a parent. Is
Know your strengths and weaknesses and lean on your partner if you're able to. Like,
well,
if you're lucky enough to have like an extra set of hands, an extra brain to lean on, like definitely use it. If you are a single parent, like God bless you. I'm sorry, I don't have as much advice for you. I was raised by a single mom, and I still think she hung the moon, even though I think she's a little crazy. And y'all are doing the Lord's work because, good God.
I mean, yeah, definitely lean on a partner if you got it. But I mean, even with your partner, like, do your best not to prepare and not instill fear, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, but like,
you want a good level of caution, but yeah, definitely play off your person if you got a person to play off.
I think that everybody has their strengths and weaknesses though, because
Of course.
there's plenty of things that I think are cause for super concern. And then you are pretty chill and laid back about, and we have to ride that delicate dance there. Like, and then there are things where you feel pretty strongly about, and I'm just like, let's like kind of breathe this one out. And we like, you know, it's just the balancing act. Like, you bring your two separate sets of experiences to the table, and you let the other person's crazy shine when it's helpful, and you let the sane one take the lead when it's needed. Like,
yeah, it's important. It's important. And then, but we also know people where there's clearly one person who can't handle any of it.
Is that us? Is that us? 'Cause
I think some people might think so, but I think that we know. No, I but like, there's just know where the strengths are.
yeah, because I mean, I think with any
And it can change on a given day, right? Depending on, it's like there's days where you can't handle anything coming from one or both.
Yeah.
I'm
And
the
same
same
for
way.
you. Yeah.
It's it's a constant being ready to call an audible. We did it tonight.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was like, do you want to take care of him? And I'll just go in there and do this with her.
Our daughter was like a live wire tonight. And
you're like,
normally,
I think I got this. And I was like, well, if you need to call an audible.
yeah. Well, and you were asking me because I was getting frustrated with her and I was shutting her down pretty handedly. Yeah. Like,
you were reaching your limit.
I don't think I got as close as I have many nights, but
at any point you could have been pushed over your limit, even if you weren't close to your limit.
And you can't say it like that.
I'm the same way. I'm like, there's sometimes where I'm like having the best time and just one thing happens. I'm like, I can't deal with this. You got to get in there.
If she'd brought up her nails 3 more times, I probably would have been like, and I'm out. I'm fucking out. Like, yeah, I can't.
She was living on that.
Yeah. And it's usually the look she gets in her eye about it that drives me over the edge. When she gets that like little mischievous, like, but what if I poke this bear one more time? Like, yeah, I know they're slightly tired of talking about this. And then she gets that little side glance smirk and she's like, but I really want my nails to grow. And I'm like, I will literally walk out of this room right now and never talk to you again.
I mean, there's days where that gets to me, and then I strive to just have it like when I might mention it once. I strive to have days where it's like, okay, I'm not responding to it anymore.
Yeah, that's the best days.
Some days that's easier, and some days you just can't because she's got your number. Some days she just got your number.
Some days I've got hers, which is those are glorious days.
Some days we've got each other's.
Yeah. Oh God, that's most days.
But I mean,
okay, so I want to spotlight our son just for a little bit.
Spotlight.
He's so cute, man. Like, he's really coming into his own. I want to talk about just like some of his milestones because we never get a chance to because there's just so much going on all the time. It feels like a blur. And he was rolling over like almost the second you got him to daycare. He has been regressing completely and has not rolled over since, I'm pretty sure.
I think we just lucked out the way she laid him that day because I don't think he meant to do it. Does that make sense?
He did it the next day too with me.
Yeah.
So maybe, and he tried to roll over when I had him today, but he was on a changing table, so I was like stopping him from rolling off the edge. But we have had a staffing change at our daycare, which we're all really sad about. Like basically the teacher we love got a better job, which of course she did because our daycare pays shit.
Both rooms.
Both rooms?
Yeah, one the part timer that was always there at the end of the day is got a new job too.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't thinking about the part timer.
The story time teacher, which was amazing.
Well, our daughter's still coming home and talking about really cool stories, so I'm hoping somebody's reading to her still and about things she's excited about. That teacher was cool though. But yeah, so like I had really bonded with our son's lead teacher, and we're still going to do play dates because her son is our daughter's age, so that's helpful. And get that like nice social life going. But I'm so sad she's not going to be with her baby boy every day because he adored her and she really worked with him on his torticollis. And
he's like so much better now.
He's so much better. She kept him like stimulated and entertained. He came home exhausted every day in a great way and in a good mood, and he stayed on his schedule. And we've got good teachers, it seems, right now. But like, I mean, our school, they don't make great decisions all the time because like they now have sisters who are pregnant and due near at the same time leading up that class. So no one will be anchoring that class very, very shortly. And I'm just like, I know you can't discriminate against pregnancy, and that's not what I'm asking. But like, if you want to give a chance to a pregnant woman, you got people quitting left and right. Put her in a different class so you don't have two of your staple teachers out at the same time.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird when that happens. I guess the other thing will be, I mean, I don't know how much time. Like, it just depends. I don't know how much time they get.
They don't get. They take off unpaid. So that's why.
Which is crazy.
That's why we're doing cash gifts for their baby shower gifts.
Which means they'll be back probably sooner than most.
They would be back sooner than someone in a salary position.
Can be there too. So.
I don't know that. That's kind of what I was wondering. I kind of
kid has to be in another class.
They have to be in another class. They don't have to go there though, because I don't think they get free tuition. And if they can't afford to take off maternity, you think they can afford daycare?
I don't know.
Like, and
a lot of people that work there have their kids there. I know that.
They do, but there's a lot I don't know, so I shouldn't assume. But anyway, we got this awesome baby. He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's so sweet and lovable. He laughs like,
oh man, he's like my biggest fan. I love it.
He is your biggest fan. He cackles to like the ceilings like shake when he laughs. It's amazing. And our daughter like loves entertaining him. He looks for her every time she enters a room. If he
hears her outside there, like at night. So the challenge at night for him, we do a thing where we get ready for baths. He usually goes in just before, and he's getting out as she's either has just gotten into her shower or is about to get into her shower. And the challenge comes where one of us is feeding him in his room, but she's a loud 3-year-old, and every time he hears her, he's like, let's go to the bottle. And he's like looking, he's like, where's she at? Where is she?
Yeah, he just stops eating. He just gets so distracted trying to find his sister.
And it takes him a good 2 minutes to come back.
Yeah.
And then she'll usually say something again, and he'll be like, what? What's that?
But I'll take that all day, because anytime he's upset, if she walks over and starts talking to him, he calms down.
She can usually calm him down.
She can calm him down better than I can. It's kind of ridiculous. And I'm like, oh, I can't do that. What is it? Parentalizing. As a type of abuse that people do, is where they make older siblings act like parents and take care of the younger siblings.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I had a lot of cousins that did that.
It's terrible.
I knew a lot of people that had to do that. My mom had to do that.
Yeah. It's considered a type of abuse now.
That's nuts.
Yeah. And I definitely would never do that.
Sure.
But every once in a while I'm like, will you go get socks for me?
Yeah.
And she loves to be a helper. But she has tried to feed him with a bottle twice, I think, and she lasted 4 seconds.
I think that she thinks it's a great idea to either hold or try to feed him, and then as soon as she gets in that position, and we
she remembers she's 3 and she wants to do other things.
Well, I think there's partially that, but I think too, she gets overwhelmed. She's like, this is fragile. A lot of pressure. This is, I don't want to, She doesn't like when we talk to her about serious stuff, so I think you might be right. Like, I think she gets really overwhelmed with that. I think she just feels like this is a lot. Yeah. And I can't really, I'm overwhelmed. Yeah. I'm done. Yeah. I'm done. I think that's fine. Like, that's okay. She did really good. It's knowing limits, right? Yeah. We're starting to incorporate him more and more into her story time. Like, he's just kind of been in the room before now, but we're starting to like bring him down to where he can look at the book on her level too. Like we usually read in a pallet on the floor pretty much, just so everybody can be in the same room. Cause we don't have a bed in the house that'll fit us all basically. And he's really getting into the books, but there was one night like a few weeks back where she was like, I want to hold him. And I was like, okay, if you don't want to hold him, please don't just let him go. Let me know. Please tell mommy or dad. And you were sitting right next to her and I was sitting like right in front of her, but I was like, just walking her through it. Like, just let us know. And I got a bunch of pictures and it was so cute. Like, she lasted for a good half a minute. Yeah. I wonder how much is intimidation of the fact that we're watching so close. Like, maybe she knows it's important. Like, yeah, she knows he's fragile. Yeah, that's probably what it is. Because I think we're gentle with her with our explanations for the most part, where we're just like, don't pat his head hard because he's fragile. He's a little baby. Like, you have to be gentle with him. You have to use gentle hands and things like that. And when, when we're like caution her, we're like, you can't kick your feet around your brother. You have to go outside to do that because if you kick him, it could hurt him and things like that. Yeah. I think she takes that to heart. And I don't think we're like coming down on her too hard. Every once in a while, she's like gotten real close and we've kind of freaked out in the moment and been like, get away from your brother doing that. But I think overall, we kind of, we head it off. She tests every once in a while. Well, she tests every once in a while. But I think overall, we pre-date, we preempt.
preempt. Thank you. We preempt the situation before it ever gets there, and kind of explain, hey, this is why we're asking you not to do this, because it could result in this. And we don't want that to happen because you would feel bad. It would hurt your brother. I always try to, and this may be a terrible parenting technique, but I try mostly to lead with how it affects her. And every once in a while, I'll throw in how it affects somebody else first, just to kind of like, and I'm like, my plan is to start kind of flip-flopping those ratios.
I think that's a good practice though. Like it makes sense, right? Because at 3, she only really like
can think about herself.
She can only really think about the things that are affecting her.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good way. I think it's a good thing to lead with.
I try to,
and then slowly dip.
I try to
slowly dip that toe into the like. And also,
there's other
you don't want to
people.
hurt your brother.
Yeah.
And also, you don't want to break this. But it's more of a like, I want you to have your stories tonight. You try not to threaten. It's really hard to do. Oh, it's very hard to do, especially when you're raised like we were raised.
Yeah.
Where everything was a threat. Like everything was a threat to be taken away.
Yeah.
Like anything you enjoyed was always at stake.
Maybe that's why we're all so damn anxious. It's like, maybe that's why we're always like, I don't deserve happiness. The other shoe is going to drop and take this all away from me at any moment.
Maybe. I guess sometimes I get like that. I think some people are more apt to that or not. I know that you're always very nervous about the other shoe dropping and things not, you being like, okay, what's wrong? This is too awesome. Like, what's going on?
We have 2 awesome children. I have an awesome husband. I have great dogs.
I tend to zero in on.
I freak out daily.
Yeah. I tend to zero in on, all right, when's it going to, like, I tend to zero in on like a good time being over.
Yeah.
Not so much it being taken away from me, but I'm just kind of like, oh man, there's only 3 more days of vacation left. Instead of being like, there's 3 days of vacation left. Yeah.
I don't zero in on that either side of that. I don't like rah. Yeah, we still got 3 days, but I also don't go, oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, it's time to start getting sad. We've got only 3 days left.
I turn everything into a countdown instead of being like, this is going to be ripped away from me because a shoe's going to drop. Like, it's just a different thing to be, I guess.
See, like, I count like vacations as like, I don't know. It's almost like an experience piggy bank for me. So I like collect memories in my head, I think is how it goes.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome. And I want that, but I'm always worried about the present and future being ruined. I never worry about the present and things that will then be in the past.
Yeah.
I don't know if I explained that.
I think the older I've gotten too, you explained it pretty well.
Okay.
I think the older I've gotten too, there comes a point in the trip where I'm like, how much did we just spend?
That definitely happens to me.
How much did we just spend?
There's a
what are we
point-
going to have to do to make up for this? Because I'm having a blast.
I definitely have thought that a couple times. There is a point in the trip where I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to get back to my daily routine of laundry and dishes at my house, which is a weird feeling because I hate those both. But there's something comforting in like keeping everything running on time,
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's habits, right?
Yeah.
Like the same reason why 3-year-olds like structure. It's structure. It's the same reason why I was resistant to go back, because this is just the type I am. I was resistant to go back to the office after COVID. Mm-hmm. But once I got back, I was like, yeah, I need this. I need something that makes me get up and get ready because I feel like poop if I don't. But that's just the way I am. I know you mainly work from home. I know a lot of friends that just like, I love working from home. I like working from home, but I also do like being forced to get ready because I feel like hot garbage if I don't get ready, and just mentally I don't feel great. I
think I have a more productive schedule at home.
I think you do too. You got a lot of chatty Cathys at work. God,
well, and like if I'm working at home, I can get my workouts in. I can keep the house running.
Yeah, it's nice to have that it's moment like to step away and just take care of a little something.
Our family benefits from a stay-at-home mom and a second working parent at the same time when I'm at home. It's Like we've got that system kind of down. It took me 4 years to get it right, but we've got it down. Like I can get workouts in, just all of it. But I will say this. I finally went back to the office after this maternity leave for the first time. And there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people and a new hire at the office today. And every one of them, I had to stop and have a whole conversation and not had to go pull my fingernails out. Like I enjoy talking about my kids, but every single person wanted to know about the kids. There were pictures to be shared.
You had to say the same stories over and over. You had to say answer the same
I got to
questions.
tell every single person 5 times, like my daughter made my son laugh so hard he threw up.
You would have benefited from just having a morning meeting.
Yeah.
With everybody.
Yeah.
And then going to work.
And then coming back home and working. So yeah.
Now we've done this. Please let me go fucking work. It's good to see you all.
Oh, missed you so much.
Go to hell. I will
see you at the barbecue. Yeah. Bye.
Fuck you. Fuck you. You're
cool. I'm out.
Yeah.
But no, by mid-afternoon, it was so unproductive. I had to go home.
Yeah.
I had to go home and work because I was just
it's probably more than normal too, right? Like when you were going to the office on a normal basis, you still had distractions, but you weren't catching up on months of stuff.
Every single time. Right. Well, and I have a coworker that's particularly bad about
dominating your time.
Yes. And that person is out right now. So it would have been even worse. And I have no clue. Anyway.
What?
And I don't even know where I'm going with it. So that's why I kind of just dropped off because I'm just like, where are you going with this?
Yeah. But I understand what you're saying. You're just kind of like, well, it could have been worse, but at the same time, you knew what you had been kind of mentally preparing yourself leading up to going back today because it was your first time back. And
our daughter hates that I work at home and she's not allowed to be here.
Yeah, she does not understand that you won't be able because she needs, or at least she thinks she needs so much of your time.
She needs supervision for sure. She can still get into shit.
But even if you hooked her up with all the videos or TV shows she wanted to watch, we don't like doing that. But if you did, she would still figure out a way to dominate your time. And what she's done to you before is she has left you alone all day until you get to the point of your day where you have to call and talk to people on the phone. And then she's like, hey, mom.
The second she hears me talking to another human being, she's like, oh, wait a second.
Oh, we're talking.
She's talking to somebody that's not me? No.
Yeah.
So that's impossible. Plus, days and days on end of finding something to entertain her, is just would be exhausting. It is already exhausting just to be here. To be a working parent, running a household with 3 other people and a couple animals and 200 houseplants relying on you for life.
I mean, just think about, think about your...
That was a joke and I didn't even get a chuckle, so I just want to point out.
But it felt real.
It had a grain of truth to it. I wonder why.
It felt real. I was just thinking about the way you were feeling when you were on your maternity leave. You weren't working, but you were still completely stressed out about all the same stuff, right? But I mean, you're obviously dealing with coming down from the whole pregnancy, getting used to another soul in the house, getting used to just everything, your body trying to get back to itself, repairing itself, your mental state changing and coming back to normalcy.
We should dedicate an episode for a postpartum follow up several months later too, because we
talked about it a little bit, but man, you had we did big gaps with nothing, but you had so many different highs and lows.
I feel like I'm still having them. That's kind of the point I was making is
They're not
feel
as
like
extreme, but
it's not even over.
Right.
Like, it's not over. I still hate my body right now. I still am freaking out internally daily. Like, I feel like any given day I could cry a bucket of tears, like still. And, and it's literally just momentum carrying me through the days and the love I have for my family for sure. But like, if I stop and think too hard about anything, I would break down right now. I am so fragile. It's fucked up, man. And I feel like more people should talk about it.
Yeah. And I think you being back at work is helpful because you have distraction.
You're right. Yeah. It gives me purpose. It gives me some feeling of like not autonomy, not control, not autonomy, productivity ish.
Productive, but you don't like when you were on
helpfulness.
When you were on
my job's a helpful type job, like, so maybe some sort of helpfulness.
I think when you were on leave, you just had time to think. All you had to do was sit around and think. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but I wasn't like, but I didn't. I had zero time to sit around and think. I was washing clothes and bottles and breastfeeding and pumping and cleaning the house because we had a newborn and I was paranoid about the state of the house and like still taking care of dogs and still getting food ready. And because when you do have your second child, you get help. Don't get me wrong. Like, we've had a ton of help, but it is nowhere near the amount that you get with your first child. Like, and everybody's kind of ready for that when you decide to have a second child. Like, you don't expect that same level of help, but when the reality hits and you're balancing that toddler who's whooping your ass and that new baby, when a new baby whooped your ass the first time around, it's not easy. And you have a better handle on it because you did do it once before, but it's still not easy.
Yeah, I think that, but too, some of that stuff that you listed off can be, I don't want to say it's like, it's almost like you can go on autopilot with some of that stuff, so you still have that time to think about the things that are bugging you and think about things more than like if you were actually sitting there having to go through reports or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not as much distraction because I didn't
feel like it was autopilot. I felt like I had a lot of brain strain, like keeping track of it all, because there's a whole new person you're incorporating into your system, and there's a lot of mental load in making sure that everyone you love is taken care of the same way they always have been, and also not shorting that new person on all the life experiences you gave your first child, like all the care you gave your first child, making sure you spend the same time with them. Like, I already felt very stressed out that I was shorting him on 3 weeks of maternity leave. Like,
I think that's at least for me, I think that is something that is an extra stressor that's not needed.
It's not needed. This is a personal one of
it is, yeah.
But I also feel like it hits close to home because I've talked to a lot of moms that have felt the same way.
Sure.
I feel like it's worth discussing, Yeah.
I think it depends on the person. Like, to me, I absolutely feel like, I want second kid to have a lot of the same experiences and things that the first one did, but I'm not as much interested in like, did I take the same amount of pictures or did I do the same amount of like things?
I mean, that's
because it's
impossible to match.
It's impossible to match.
And I know that consciously, but I'm going to make an effort, like, to give a similar experience, like I'm still doing his milestone pictures. I'm still going to do first Christmas stuff. Like, you just brought up pictures, so that's just a prime example. But like,
that's big stuff too, though.
Like, it's just.
But everything's also amplified. Like, you just had a kid. Like, everything's raw. Everything physically and mentally, right?
Well, and there's
everything is raw.
Things went wild in different ways for both pregnancies too. Like, we talked about, like, I partially dislocated my hip 6 months after our daughter was born. Mm-hmm. Like, still dealing with the after effects of giving childbirth, or going through childbirth. Yeah. And so, like, we're only 4 months postpartum right now, and I'm like, we're not even quite there, but I'm like, okay, so I still have to be quite careful. Like, I'm paranoid because I'm like,
do you feel more normal 4 months with this one after this one than you did 4 months after the last one?
I don't think so. Like, I feel like it's about the same because I didn't feel not normal when I did that. I feel
the first one was such an anomaly too, because we had so much home time.
Yeah, it was
together.
Weird. I definitely do not feel back to myself.
Yeah.
Like right now, I just shit's not quite right still, you know, like all like across the board. Like,
it's not gonna be. I think it's gonna take.
And I don't know if this is a permanent like state of being, like just this is how I am now or what, but like my hips aren't quite right. Like my joints aren't quite right. I know that there's other fun parts of me that aren't quite right.
Well, and having another kid just kicked all that recovery that you had with child one down the road, that can down the road. And now it's like, well, now I'm still, I've come back. Like, it's almost like 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Absolutely. And
only it's like several steps back.
Like 6 steps back. And then there's the mental aspect of it. Like, I am happier than I've ever been. And I also like kind of want to crawl into a hole and die sometimes. Like, maybe not die, but just hide extensively. And that's hard to explain because I'm just like, no, I want to be with my family and present and making memories all the time. And I want them to have all the best things. And I want to play and be like this happy, fun, intimidating, scary ass mom, like memory for them, like that authoritarian, hilarious mom that I think I can pull off somehow. I'm not sure. Like
depending on the day, I don't think she's buying it, man.
No,
I don't think she's buying it from either of us.
No, she thinks we're full of shit. But like, I want my kids. I have fun making these memories with them every single day. I have fun coming up with projects for them. Like, I put a lot of pressure on myself to make sure like they have art and a nice house to live in and good memories about that they don't feel closed in with clutter and things like that can really kind of affect your productivity and mental state. And I'm so proud of myself for all this stuff, but I also am just like exhausted by it and overwhelmed by it, and I just doubled my workload and like that. Those are just all, I don't know, it's just a lot to kind of comprehend.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like when you start thinking about how many stars there are in the sky, like when you think about all the decisions you make that go into like your child's upbringing, it can really overwhelm you if you sit too long with it.
What's wild is it's so different for people. I mean, I know it's very similar for a lot of moms, but it's also, I'm sure there are moms out there that are just kind of like, I mean, you've got friends that are just kind of like, we're going on our first trip and our kid's 3 months old.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they can just, that doesn't even, some of that stuff that you're talking about, like, is just not part of that process.
I mean, that ain't me though. So,
it's not.
Like,
I'm just saying.
I absolutely can't relate to leaving like my kid that young and just
and that's what I mean.
Doing that for myself. I think that's great.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I mean. Like, it's just crazy how different that can be.
Everybody's got a different approach. Like, yeah, it's
approach, just outlook, I guess. Too. It's like, wow, I wouldn't do that. but at the same time, I know I do stuff that I'd be like, I wouldn't do that.
And like, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have left my 7-month-old the first time around. It looks like we'll probably do that at some point. So I mean, I think you just get a different perspective as you get more accustomed to. But I don't know, like, anyway, the postpartum stuff is just so fluid and weird all the time, and no one's experience is the same that I've talked to, because I never grew up hearing about postpartum. No one ever talked about miscarriages and things like that, and not that they need to or should have or anything like that. It's just the conversations weren't had. And there's a lot more conversation out to be discussed, read, archived now that we are the age we are and grew up with the internet.
Yeah, it was just there was different awareness, right?
Yeah.
Like there was just different awareness. Like just like our parents' generation and their pets are very different from the way we treat our pets.
Yeah.
Right? Like the family dog growing up it's just a dog.
I was thinking about that today, actually.
And so I think it's much the same way with anything that like there's more awareness around just women's health in general. You know, just women's health, like awareness around getting checked for cancer, you know, the amount of things that can go wrong in pregnancy, the postpartum, like you said, no one ever talked about it. It was just kind of like, all right, well,
baby blues. It's a sweet little word for it.
Baby blues, and it was just kind of like, well, you got to get it together.
Yeah, I mean, and
it was very much a well, you're just being an irrational woman. Like that was kind of the mentality at the time. It's kind of like, oh well, let's leave her alone. She's going through something right now, rather than being like, hey, you're all right.
If only they just left you alone to go through it. You say, you know, you just got to get it together. Like I very much just have to snap myself out of things sometimes and tell myself, you got to get it together. Like, and that is the only answer occasionally. But
what sucks is like,
it's not, sometimes you need a different answer too. Like,
but what sucks about that is like, no one can tell. Like, I don't think it feels right to tell someone, hey, go get it together.
No,
like, it
absolutely
has to be
not.
like,
that's me telling myself.
Well, and that's, yeah, exactly. It has to be you to yourself, because otherwise, just like with an addict, they're not gonna stop doing what they're doing until they're ready, right? You're not going to get it together until you are mentally ready to be like, I got to get it together.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's really weird for me too, because I feel like if you're an outside looking in, like, perspective, trains are running on time. Like, things are clean, dishes are done, laundry is folded, kids are at school on time, kids are in bed at time. Like,
kids are fed.
Yeah, like everybody's eating vegetables and shit. Like, so outside looking in, it looks like, you know, we've kind of got a system in place, and I am internally screaming half the time.
But it's only the pressure.
And again, I'm happy.
Right. But
like,
it's the pressure that you are voluntarily putting on yourself. And when I say that, I mean, we talked about the other night of like, usually our friends that are, or people we know that have kids, and they're just like, I'm just having such a tough time. And like, then you start talking to them, you're like, oh, you're not on a schedule.
Yeah.
You're not like, and that goes back to those.
But we are.
That goes back to those preferences that we were talking about. Some people can leave when, you know, a couple months after they have a kid, but some people, and just like some people just choose not to have a schedule because they want to kind of free range it. Right. And they're like, no, we still just kind of let them. Some people were like,
oh, my 6-month-old's up at 11 p.m. No, don't do that.
Oh, and I know they're up because they sleep in the bed with me. Right. Like it's like that. It's like, oh, you like, so when we're looking at it, we're kind of like, well, I know it could help, but you know, people usually aren't up, they're not up to here for hearing it, and that's fine. Yeah. But there's just a way that we do things, and then there's a way that other people do it, and that's just kind of parenting in general.
Yeah.
But the thing I notice most that we talked about is 9 times out of 10 they're not on a schedule, and so yeah, they're not going to have their evenings the way they want to have them.
Yeah. Because
you need structure. Kids want structure.
Well,
and I'm not coming down on anybody, but I'm just saying, like, you're stressed out the way I stress out when, like, my parents come over to hang out, because I know it's going to throw the entire evening off in some way. Even if we're right on time, kid number 1 knows that people are here. So kid number 1's going to push different buttons than if nobody was here.
God. Yeah, she's usually checking to make sure everybody can hear her clearly when she yells.
Yeah, she knows. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I think that we all freak out about different things, and ours is usually tied to, hey, we're not we're running out of time. I feel like that's the most common phrase around here. We're running out of time. We got to get going, get to school. We're running out of time. Got to get you in the bath. Running out of time. It's dinner time. We got to get some food now. Especially with him. You do not miss.
Yeah,
you do not miss that scheduled feeding.
No,
unless you want to hear the banshee.
I think like with our daughter,
the pterodactyl.
She's been. I think we talked about this last time. She's been taking like an hour to eat her damn dinner.
It's rough.
And she wants dessert after too. And it's like, bitch, you gotta get in the bath.
that pace leaks into all of her other
everything.
Getting dressed.
Yeah.
If you're not helping her, it's not happening.
Yeah.
She knows how to do it. She just will not do it.
And that's the thing is like, you just feel like a drill sergeant. I was reading in that Montessori book we have, like keeping like instructions simplified, like one word instructions to kind of keep them on track. But geez, man, it's not, half of it is, yes, she's 3.5. Her mind wanders. She gets excited about other things. She finds other things interesting and gets like strewn off the path. The other half is she's messing with you. Like
that's more enraging. I can understand dilly dallying and that's the other thing that book talks about is
if she was just like, ooh, butterfly.
She's she's moving at her own pace because she's exploring the world around, because they're not. Yeah. Time is just like not a construct in their head right now.
They got nowhere to be. They had no responsibilities. They're just like, I exist in the world. You put me here.
So like, baby, I got to go to work. That means nothing to her.
Yeah, exactly.
Like she's like, well, you can go to work. Like, you can go to work.
That don't affect me. And I get that, but she absolutely knows you're in a hurry sometimes, and is just like, my sock's on upside down. And you're just like, you've been able to put your sock on by yourself for 1.5 years. Can you please put your fucking sock on right? And then you're just like, all right, I'll do it. It will be faster if I do it. And then you're like, we
left the other day and no one noticed but me, but the shoes were on the wrong feet. And I was like, I ain't saying shit. Get in the car. Get in the car.
I've told her to get in the car barefooted a couple times and she's freaked out. And I'm like, well, you don't want to put shoes on, so I guess you're walking around on hard ground. Like, it's that natural consequences shit from the Montessori school.
Not demanding to be barefoot. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's sometimes you're like, you need shoes for this.
Oh, she wants what? We've talked about this before, but like, she absolutely wants what you're not pushing. Like, that's what she wants.
9 times out of 10, if you give her a this or that, she's going to take the second one.
Okay, so we talked about that on the podcast before, and I actually told you the other day in the kitchen. I was like, I used your method and it didn't work this one time. You
kind of have to stress the or.
Or?
Yeah, you kind of stress the or because like her brain just kind of like forgets what that last thing was. Like, or it just becomes like fizzly, like faded in the background.
How does she have the brain of a goldfish and an elephant at the same time? I do not understand. She can remember stuff from when she was like 9 months old, and she also can't remember what you told her 3 seconds ago. She couldn't remember it was Thursday when I told her literally in the sentence before I asked her what day of the week it was.
Yeah, that is weird.
But she can remember like genuinely recall details from like her first Christmas.
But then she can't tell you like what she had for lunch.
Yeah.
What'd you have for lunch today?
I'm like, are you 45? Like, what is this?
I don't know. What did you do today? I don't know.
Yeah. I played.
I think it was harder for her to recall her day in the last class where there was no structure, because it was just all day was the same thing.
Yeah.
All day.
Just running around all the time.
Just whatever keeps you alive and out of my hair is kind of like.
They didn't read to her hardly. They started reading some books towards the end of the year. I started hearing about some stories occasionally, but like they read a new book every day in this class. It's great.
It's nice.
And like we read her a couple books a night. Like occasionally her brother gets a bonus book, so she gets to hear that one.
Yeah.
And like I'm starting to, when I go see him for his like midday bottle, I try to read him a book when I go too, so he gets a little extra in.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's what I did to her, like with her, and she adores reading.
Yeah, that's the only thing right now is like the difference in age and what we can read is like we definitely weren't reading the books that we're reading to her and him to her when she was his
She
age.
was little. Yeah, I'm trying.
Not that he was really, like his is more visual. So I almost wonder if it's just better to go through, like, get those high contrast books, and while the other person's reading to her, just turn through the pages of the contrast book.
Well, I mean, and I think also when we were reading to her when she was that little, we were reading while she was eating bottles at the same time. Like, we were multitasking, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think, you know, like while she's in the shower, if he's already out reading a bottle, like somebody could do that.
That's true. I guess we got like a stack right next to it.
Yeah, and when she was little like that too, we'd read her like 5 books at a time. We didn't narrow it down. We didn't narrow it down to 2 until she got conscious enough to start dragging it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to take a potty break. Are we? You ready to wrap this up? Maybe.
Yep, we did exactly the thing we said we weren't going to do, and we're pushing 2 hours. So I guess we're out of here.
Hey, I like talking to you, sir.
It's nice. It's fun. Everybody take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
Don't drive yourself too crazy. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself you don't enjoy what's going on. I constantly have to remind myself to stay in the pocket, even when I'm frustrated. Because at some point, that little thing that's annoying you is going to be wanting to do their own thing, and it's going to drive you even crazier.
There will be a last time you pick them up.
Ugh, I hate that.
It's terrible.
It feels like cheap pops, but at the same time, it's like,
oh, it hurts.
it feels like hot needles. Bye.
Bye.